families have to visit food banks in this country? How many more young couples will have to give back their keys because they can't pay their mortgages? How many seniors will have to cut back on the necessity of heating their homes before these Liberals and their costly coalition partnership with the NDP wake up to what's going on in Canada? Will they stop the taxes? Will they stop punishing Canadians? Will they commit to stopping their planned tax increases and their tripling of the carbon tax?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, let's look at the Conservative record on taxes. In 2015, when we lowered taxes on the middle class, the Conservatives voted against. When we voted for the child care benefit, Mr. Speaker, the Conservatives voted against. When we created the Canada Worker Benefit, Mr. Speaker, the Conservatives voted against. When we lowered taxes on small businesses, how did the Conservatives vote? They voted against. And what did they do last week, Mr. Speaker? Instead of supporting Canadians who needed the help the most, the Conservative bench voted against.
The Honourable Member for Thornhill.
The inflationary spending is the cause of the pain for almost every Canadian, while Liberals pretend that everything is fine. Remember, they told Canadians that interest rates would stay low. They told Canadians that the problem would be deflation, not inflation. We were told then that all of this was temporary so that the government can continue to spend and spend. They told us that they would take on the debt so Canadians wouldn't have to. What else are they going to get wrong?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I think we need to roll the tape back in this House to the time when the House was discussing on hybrid parliament how this government, this parliament, would support Canadians in the worst pandemic in 100 years. And this government had bold proposals to make sure that wage subsidies and individual subsidies for people would be able to keep them in their homes. How did the Conservatives vote? They voted with us. Mr. Speaker, are they now saying they wish they would have taken those votes back and not had the CERB and not kept businesses afloat? I think the Conservatives need to tell Canadians what their plan is, because we certainly have one.
The Honourable Member for Charlebourg, Haute-Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, the Finance Minister is contradicting her Prime Minister when she says the government needs to tighten its belt and cut spending. Even future Liberal leader Mark Carney contradicts him when he says that inflation in Canada is a problem caused by Liberal management. And even if the Finance Minister wants to control spending, she's under pressure from the costly coalition, the NDP and the Liberals, who are working together to continue with these inflationary spending policies. Will the Minister commit to stopping these tax increases and to stop inflationary spending? The Honourable Minister. Let's be clear, when it comes to the Conservatives' record on taxes for Canadians, in 2015, when we lowered taxes for Canadians, the Conservatives voted against. When we created the Canada Child Benefit, the Conservatives voted against. When we put in place a plan for workers, the Conservatives once again voted against that. Last week, once again, Mr. Speaker, they voted against. Our plan is to vote for Canadians. The Honourable Member for Charlebourg-Haute-Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, we will always vote for what is best for Canadians. And every time the Liberals bring measures that will create economic problems, such as inflation and higher interest rates, we're always going to vote against that. They're spending $200 billion out of $500 billion they've spent, which the Parliamentary Budget Officer has confirmed has nothing to do with pandemic help. The Liberals can talk, but when it's time to act for real for Canadians and for the economy, they're lost. When will this government stop with its inflationary spending? The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, it's clear that the plan that we put in place in the pandemic helped Canadians get through the worst pandemic in 100 years. The Conservatives voted with us then, but now they want to revise history, and they're welcome to do that. But right now, we have a concrete plan for inflation. $500 to help with rent, with a dental plan for children, and with the doubling of the GT.